Hey guys, it is NCS Fan 001 here for another one of those weekly trophy list updates. Today's date is Monday, September 23rd, 2024. So this will cover the week of the 16th through the 22nd of September of 2024. This was not a particularly productive week. I didn't really think it was going to be because I knew I was going to be kind of busy this week between certain work things and then just family being here over the weekend for a football game. Didn't have a whole lot of time to play, but I am happy with the progress that was made. I also made a ton of progress on some editing, which I will get into that in a little while. So, first and foremost, I think I might have mentioned this last time, and I just want to go ahead and check real quick and see if anything's been added. But Power Wash Simulator is getting a Shrek DLC this fall, so it looks like it has not been added yet. It might be in like October. Oh, didn't mean to go that far out. But yep, we're getting a Shrek DLC. That's the next one. Again, I kind of hope it's only PS5, even though I'll still do it regardless. So, in terms of actual trophy progress made this week, I got 2 Platinum trophies in Star Wars The Clone Wars for the PS4 and PS5. So, overall, this is a pretty quick and easy Platinum trophy. Just it gets a little bit repetitive, gets a little bit boring after a while, and of course, the game is a product of its age. It's a pretty old school PS2 game. It does have the rewind feature, but you have to go through a few more steps to activate it, which is a little bit strange, but I didn't really need it for that much of the game anyway. So, in terms of getting the Platinum Trophy, you're going to get a huge chunk of your trophies. Everything through the 16th trophy right here, everything through there is unmissable and story related. So, lots of quick, easy trophies just for beating the story. It's 16 missions. You can blast through the story in like 3.5 hours, most likely, on the easiest difficulty, if you're not going for any of the bonus objectives or anything else. But you are going to need to complete at least 30 of the bonus objectives in the game. Every mission has 3, so there's a grand total of 48. You thankfully only have to do 30 of them. Bonus objectives can be things like killing a certain number of enemies, or keeping certain vehicles at a certain level of health, or keeping all your squad mates alive during the mission. That's a very common objective, actually, is just trying to keep squad mates alive throughout an entire mission. But for the most part, these objectives are usually pretty easy, and again, you have a huge margin of error because you only have to do about 2/3 of them. So you can skip a lot of the harder ones, especially later on in the game. So don't stress too much over this, just go into each mission knowing what the bonus objectives are, and you'll probably be okay. If you need to replay any missions, you are more than welcome to do so. The game features a chapter select, so it should not cause a problem. Then you have to defeat 100 enemies as Mace Windu while on foot, so there's a few sections in the game where you have to actually get out of the vehicle and control a Jedi, and those sections really do not play very well, and those are probably some of the worst sections of the game. Again, they really don't play well. This is mostly supposed to be a vehicle-based shooter. So when you get to those sections, you're going to be killing enemies, completing a few ground objectives. The Mace Windu one is fairly straightforward, and you'll probably get this one naturally just by beating the game, because you'll get several points throughout the game where you get to play as Mace Windu on foot. I think like the first mission has that, and either the second or third mission, and then the 15th mission, and they all have a lot of ground combat. So you should get the Mace Windu trophy no problem just by beating the game. Now, the Anakin trophy is the last one I got on both versions of the game because this one is not going to come naturally. There's only, I think, 1 or 2 missions where Anakin is even on the ground and he's barely there for any of it. So for this one, you're going to end up having to farm it. Now, thankfully, there's a very easy way to do this. Go to the Geonosis Arena in the multiplayer menu. You don't actually need to have a second controller or anything like that. You can play it solo, even though it's declared as multiplayer. Load up the Geonosis Arena. I think it's called like Geonosis Academy or something. Load that up and select Anakin as your character and just farm kills in that arena until you reach 100. Shouldn't take more than a few minutes. 300 kills while using a vehicle is pretty much unmissable. You should get this one well before you finish the main story of the game. Giving squad commands is pretty easy because about a third of the way through the game you'll gain access to the ability to give squad commands. That was a really weird siren that I heard out of my window somewhere. That almost sounded like a nuclear warning siren or something. Anyways, for this trophy, basically around a third of the way through the game, you're going to start being able to give squad commands to your allies, and just do it 25 times and you will get this trophy. It's very easy. You can just farm it very quickly on any mission where it's available. These two trophies for piloting vehicles are both unmissable and story related. You will get them both by the end of chapter 12 or 13 in the game, so nothing to worry about there. Every type of power up there is ammo refill, health refill, invincibility. Then there's like a super blaster, and I think there's maybe one other one, so I think it's about 5 total power-ups. You should get this one naturally just by playing through the game, so you shouldn't have to worry too much about it. So for this one, you simply have to kill one enemy. That's about as basic, as simple as it gets in terms of trophies. For this one, you have to first complete 30 bonus objectives, and then you will be able to access these 2 items in the bonus menu. In order to unlock everything in the bonus menu, I believe you need 45 of the objectives, so I think you're still allowed to skip 3 of them if for whatever reason you want to like actually 100% this game. I probably wouldn't recommend that because some of the bonus objectives and some of the later missions are pretty brutal. Like there's one, maybe mission 12 or 13, that has a time-based one that's super, super tight. So, I mean, you might be able to get like 40 just by playing fairly naturally, but getting all 48 would actually be pretty challenging. So PS5 version, not really a whole lot of difference with this one. Of course, just finish the main story, gets you a bunch of your trophies, finish 30 bonus objectives. Once again, pretty straightforward, nothing too difficult overall. The Mace Windu trophy here I didn't get until the 15th mission because I did not need to replay the first mission to get certain objectives done, so I didn't get this one until a little bit later, but it was totally fine. And then I saved the Anakin trophy for a little bit later because I was going for a different day on the 366-day Platinum Challenge, which is a PSN Profiles thing where you're trying to get a Platinum trophy on each day of the year. It doesn't have to be done in a single year, obviously, because that would be just way too impossible. So I wanted to have this on a different day. And then you just have all of your other miscellaneous trophies. But yeah, you can finish this Platinum in like 5 hours if you know what you're doing. Just play through the game, get as many of the bonus objectives as you can throughout that playthrough. You should easily hit 30 before you finish the game. And then just go farm out the Anakin kills in the arena and you should be pretty much good to go. So not too much to worry about that. It's not a bad game overall. It would have been great back in the early 2000s on the PS2, so that would have been a lot of fun, but just in the modern day, again, game hasn't aged particularly well, so not really the most fun to play through in the modern day. Then the other major game I worked on this week was Resident Evil 4, so I have not touched Separate Ways yet, which is totally fine. So I already had a few trophies last week, so let's see where we pick up at. So I only finished about maybe 6 or 7 chapters of the game. So in this past week, I defeated the Vertigo, which is an optional boss fight. You can either kill him or you can wait out the timer, which is like 4 minutes. This is during chapter 9 or 10, I believe it is, inside of the castle. I want to say it's chapter 10, but I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me on that one. Salazar is the boss at the end of chapter 12, and then Krauser is the boss at the end of chapter 14, and Sadler is the boss at the end of chapter 6, well, halfway through chapter 16, pretty much, which is the final chapter of the game. So those are all pretty much unmissable story-related trophies, so when you get toward the end of the game, you'll start fighting the Regenerators. You have to destroy 2 parasites with a single shot. This is very easily done in that giant room where you have to get the level 3 key card, because you already have to kill one of the 4 Regenerators in there in order to get the wrench from him. So you can just look into whichever ones have the wrench, and then just line up your rifle shot to hit 2 parasites at once, and you'll knock this trophy out no problem. It might also work just by using the infinite rocket launcher, but I'm not entirely sure because I'm just now getting onto that playthrough. This one, at the end of chapter 12, when you get into this boss fight, just wait until you get the chance, and you can throw a grenade into his mouth, so just make sure you have a couple of grenades on you. Then, let's see, the minecart sections. I got through this one in like 2 tries, I think it was. Basically, what you have to do is shoot all of the enemies and shoot the barrels or boards as well that are blocking your path, and you should be good to go. If you're playing this on assisted, it's really not that hard because your gun auto-locks onto the enemies, so shouldn't cause you too much of a problem. This trophy I'm going to try to do in my current playthrough because it's pretty difficult to do in a handgun and knife only playthrough, because that was the second playthrough of the game and I didn't get it on my first playthrough for whatever reason. So it's going to be a lot easier this time because I'll have the infinite rocket launcher, but this is probably the most difficult of the sort of miscellaneous chapter-specific trophies in the game. Escaping on the water scooter without taking damage, just take it slow and you should be fine. I did this on first try on this version of the game. I had a little more trouble on the PS5 version, but not too much of an issue here. Sell a single treasure for 100,000 pesetas. This one you're going to want to use the Elegant Crown and put a different colored jewel in each slot, and you will be able to sell it for that price. There's 2 or 3 of them in the game, so you can get quite a bit of money from those. Then obtain all the treasures in a single playthrough of each area of the game. As long as you purchase the treasure maps from the merchant, this one should not be a problem. But you might also want to have a video or just other guide up just to double check on everything. So this will be one of the last trophies I get. Currently, I think the only ones I'm missing are the Chicago Sweeper, Chicago Typewriter, whatever you want to call it, and the hand cannon. The Chicago Sweeper I'm currently working on, and the hand cannon I can do pretty much whenever because it's much easier to get now. Then I completed all of the requests from the merchant, so there's about 20-ish of these in the game. I don't think it's quite 20, actually. I think it's a lot less than that. But however many there are, just complete them all in a single... I think you have to do them all in a single playthrough, so just keep that in mind. Destroy all the Clockwork Castellans. This can be done over the course of multiple playthroughs. There's 1 per chapter for a grand total of 16. And then you've got a bunch of completion trophies here, so I'm going to end up getting this trophy, and this trophy during my current playthrough. So I'm currently working on a professional New Game Plus playthrough, and on this playthrough I'm going to get at least an A ranking, which is going to unlock both the Chicago Sweeper, Chicago Typewriter, as well as the Knight Armor for Ashley, which is going to make getting a hardcore S Plus rank significantly easier. But even once I finish this playthrough, I still have to do 2 more playthroughs in order to get all of this stuff. So apparently the hardcore and standard S Plus rank trophies do not stack with one another for some reason. I don't know why. And then they only stack if you were to get a professional S Plus, which I'm sure as hell not going to do because there's no point. Then you have to finish the main story within 8 hours. You'll get this during one of your S Plus playthroughs. You're not going to have any problem with that because you can beat the game in like 5 hours or less. Then complete the game without using a recovery item. That's the other thing I'm trying to do in this current playthrough on Professional with the Infinite Rocket Launcher, is just beat it with the Infinite Rocket Launcher under 7 hours on Professional and try not to heal during it. I should be fine with this. There's only a couple of hard parts to this, like the minecart section. Well, that's not awful, but definitely the boss fight after it, the first Krauser fight. That one can be just a little bit tricky just because it's a lot of knifing and such, and it's not always the most accurate with pushing the buttons. Then I did manage to finish the knife and handgun only playthrough, as well as not talking to the merchant. That's what I just finished. I stupidly did not upgrade the primal knife before going into it, so it made it a little bit tougher because I was running out of knives by the end of it. But I did manage to get through it because I had more than enough healing items, and there were a few times when I was running a little low on handgun ammo. And then finally, there are the shooting range trophies. The S rank in all of them, there's 12 total games. This isn't overly difficult. A few of them will take multiple tries to get down, but most of them are fairly straightforward. Shooting through 5 targets at once, you should get this one naturally during the D tier, or... No, they're not D tier, it's just whatever the level 4 ones I think they're called. So whatever the last set is, you should be able to get this trophy naturally. As for Separate Ways, haven't started it yet, but you get 3 trophies simply for completing it at all. Then 3 trophies for completing it on the different difficulties, and then 1 trophy, of course, for completing it on S+. That is by far the hardest trophy overall in the game, because it's a lot less exploitable than the stuff that you can do in the base game. Additionally, the time limit on Separate Ways for an S+ is a lot more strict. So I will be working on that soon, but hopefully I can get fairly close to finishing the Platinum in Resident Evil 4 this week. I should be getting close, get at least 1, maybe 2 more playthroughs done. Alright, so with that, level 881, 61% completion. On that level, 29,231 total trophies, 841 platinums, 5,615 golds, 7,851 silvers, 14,924 bronzes. So, plans for the upcoming week. Well, Resident Evil 4 is of course one of the major plans for this week. I will at least be able to finish the professional playthrough by the end of this week, and then hopefully maybe like the standard S+ playthrough as well. So I should be getting pretty close to the Platinum Trophy by the next trophy update. And then along with that, I'm thinking that I'm going to go ahead and start up Dead Rising 2 off the record this week. because there's a little bit of Dead Rising fever out there with the whole Dead Rising 1 remaster coming out, and it's apparently pretty good from what I've seen of it. It's fixed a lot of the problems. It's apparently a lot easier than the original version. So I'm probably going to start Dead Rising 2 off the record on PS4 this week. The trophy list for that game is actually, it's way less completion based and a lot more like miscellaneous based almost. Plus a lot of like sandbox stuff and everything you have to do. It does have a few co-op trophies. Unfortunately, I'm not looking forward to that part of the game. But hopefully I can find a good partner for it this time. I mean, I'd like to think that, but given how bad my luck has been recently, we'll have to see. So I would plan to start that this week, and I'll be streaming the entirety of that playthrough aside from some of the kill grinding because, quite frankly, I don't really think I need to show 10 hours of driving in circles around the strip to get kills with the SUV or whichever vehicle I choose to use in sandbox mode, so I don't think that would be particularly interesting, but a majority of it will be streamed. And speaking of Dead Rising, the Dead Rising 2 trophy video is probably about 75% of the way done, just from this 1 week alone, so it will be out by the end of this week unless something goes seriously wrong. So, yeah, that's exciting. That video will be out pretty soon. I can also get started working on the Black Ops Cold War Mic Banning Challenge, handgun only run, whatever you want to call it. Because recently I've had a few videos overperform. Like last week's trophy update just like massively overperformed. I assume it's because I had Astrobot, my little plushie, in the thumbnail. And I mean, it wasn't clickbait because I did do Astro's Playroom last week. But I mean, that overperformed like crazy. It got like 4 times the number of views a trophy update normally gets. And then the Mic Banning Challenge, or whatever you want to call it, for Modern Warfare 3 definitely overperformed compared to a lot of the old challenge runs. And then the Modern Warfare 3 not Platinum trophy video has also overperformed. So I definitely want to get out the next video for Dead Rising 2 as well as the Cold War handgun only playthroughs as soon as possible. So I'm really going to try to focus on that. That's part of the reason why I haven't been streaming quite as much. I've been trying to focus pretty heavily on getting videos and such updated and prepared for uploads like that. And then, of course, there's always the possible influence of random games that make it trophy lists from the PlayStation Classics collection, because whenever Thrillville Off the Rails eventually gets trophy support, or LEGO Star Wars 2 eventually gets trophy support, I'm going to be jumping right into those games like the first day that I can and working on the Platinum trophies in them, maybe even getting some sort of speed run on the PlayStation Profiles leaderboards or something. I don't know. We will have to see. I mean, I am quite tired. It's actually kind of late at night. It's like past 11, so it's like past my bedtime at this point. So anyway, those are the plans for the upcoming week. Schedule should be pretty normal in terms of streaming and everything. The week after this, though, is going to be a little bit different because that's my birthday week, so I have plans for that week. And then, within a week or two after that, I have big intentions to do a massive stream. There's someone I still need to reach out to about that, but I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a world record type of stream in a few weeks. So, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, ring the bell if you haven't done so already so you don't miss these future trophy videos. Let me know down in the comments what you've been working on this past week. And I will see y'all back here later this week for more content. Like I said, it should be a more normal week.